So I feel like every artist has that one character that just follows them throughout their entire drawing careers and appears in every doodle, whether you like it or not. Yeah, I have one of those. My name is Lai, and this is Corvo, who I made in 2013 when I was 14 years old. To give some context to this character, he was created for a written roleplay group. This is what we did on deviantart when we didn't have friends to play D&D with. And basically, a group of artists would get together and we would draw characters and then write stories together with them. So this roleplay group was about twisted fairy tales who had something tragic go wrong in their story, and then they were teleported into this world where they are now all together in the same universe, and they are all angsty. My character I chose for this was Robin Hood, so that is who Corvo is based off of. So I'll start showing you some other iterations of this character throughout the years. And I say years, but really it was mostly in 2013 because he was my hyperfixation, so I drew him about 5 times in one single year. Which is crazy, but I do contribute it a lot to me learning how to draw and create characters, so I am eternally grateful for him. Originally, I wanted to go this very evil route with him, where he would, like, I don't know, rob you or something in the middle of the night. Yeah, that never happened. I was 14, shy, socially awkward, and did not enjoy any sort of confrontation. So the only way I could possibly write him was as a very sweet boy, and that is what he has been ever since. You can definitely see this forced decision reflect through his newer designs. He definitely looks a lot more kind in these redesigns here. I would eventually try to go back to an eviler version of him, but it just didn't work out. I couldn't change him at that point. All the characters knew him already, so yep. Government assigned sweet boy, I suppose. Just to fill you in a little bit more about Corvo, he is a very loyal man. He's a leader, but he likes to allow other people space to show off what they are good at. What he is good at is archery. He's probably like the world's best archer, child prodigy since he was a little street rat, and that is the only thing really special about him. Meanwhile, all of the other fairy tales have these amazing, fantastical powers and magic and super strength, can't die, or they bleed gold, or have wings, and can shapeshift. No, Corvo can't do any of that. He's just a guy, and that's kind of what I like about him. It kind of makes him unique in this particular world. So something unique about having a character for this long is that they kind of grow up with you. Literally, Corvo was 18 when I first created him, and now he is 29 this year, which is crazy. He's going to be 30 years old, and I was 14, and I am now 25, so you'll see him start to mature around this point. He will start to look like a man instead of a twink, which isn't a bad thing, but I just wanted him to look a bit older. He gets a little stubble, he starts to look more muscular because I learned anatomy, and I also chopped his hair off, but I do keep his long hair as like, that was canon when he was a teenager. Here's me redrawing him as a teen and keeping his old design like from the second iteration. He kept his 2016 drawing until I attempted to redesign him in 2023, but I felt at the time that my painting skills weren't really up to par with how I wanted to portray him, so this was only a work in progress and I never finished this piece. For this redesign, I ultimately decided to start with the face. This isn't normally what I would do, but I attempted to draw him a few times before full body, and it just wasn't working out, so I decided to do a little portrait of him. Plus, there are a lot of character-defining features on his face. As with any character design, the face is very important. However, Corvo has these scars on his face, and he always has, and I made the very difficult decision to change it, finally. I've been wanting to for a while, but I just didn't quite have the gall to do it. I experimented a little bit. I tried a thin scar, I even tried an eye patch, and neither of them really fit, so I went with this slightly bigger gash across his face, still affecting his eye, of course. The eye is another thing I was worried about in this design. I knew I wanted him to be losing his eyesight in his injured eye. Originally, he just straight up had 2 different colored eyes, and it was because of the scar, but it was also because I fell into that teenage artist trope of giving your characters heterochromia because it looks cool. I made it a dull, cloudy, bluish green color with no pupil to emphasize that his vision has been damaged. I made the decision to keep his green hair. I was considering changing it to black, but after the scar change and cloak change, I just kept it green. It's sort of like a green so dark that it's like raven colored, you know, where they're black but it reflects blue. That's what I wanted to evoke with his hair. I also wanted him to look quite a bit older, so I gave him the full beard this time. He did have stubble previously, but now he has an entire fluffy beard and also a twirly little mustache because I think it's super funny. And it also pays homage a little bit to the original Robin Hood designs. It also helps a bit that my style is quite a bit less anime than it used to be. I consider my style to be more semi-realistic now. I also did quite a few expression studies for Corvo, just to test him out in my new style, and also to just draw his body and have an excuse to give him body hair. I always struggled to do that in the past, make my boys hairy, but I'm working on it. I wanted to make sure that my fairy tale characters all had differing body shapes. So Corvo is my short king. He is 5'4", and that makes him quite stocky and compact, while also being athletic and having a low body fat percentage. Most of his muscles are in his back, but his front also has quite a bit to show. Another important thing that I made sure to research this time was his clothing. Robin Hood is supposedly supposed to have existed around 1100 AD, and this means that compared to every other fairy tale, pretty much, he has one of the oldest time periods out of everybody. He is completely medieval, so I wanted to reflect that in his clothing. Previously, I sort of had, but it wasn't based in reality so much, more so in my imagination. So this time I gave him a gambeson, which is a cloth piece of armor that usually would go under a metal piece of armor. But it's very light, super flexible, easy to move around in, which is great for him doing all of his adventures and athletics and using his bow. Plus, he wouldn't really be in the front lines to need the armor necessarily. The hope is that he will be in the back, shooting from an area that hopefully no one will see him. I made the big decision to get rid of the cloak. Now, I love cloaks and capes with all of my heart, but I just felt that it wasn't very practical for him. He's running through the forests, hunting, stealing. If he got snagged, that would be very bad for him, so no capes.
No capes!
I also put his quiver on the side. Now, I had done this in 2016 as well, but it's just more practical for him to reach with his draw hand and grab right onto a few arrows and pull them out easily rather than twisting around and trying to get them off his back or anything like that. As for value choices, I put some of the darker values near his head. I really wanted to draw attention up towards his shoulders and face, and that also goes for his hair anyways. but I did make sure to throw those darker values into his hands and shoes and waist just to draw the eye around the design as a whole. I also drew a couple different versions of his outfit so that you could see the layers underneath the cloak and the gambeson. And after deciding the values, I moved on to the colors. This time around, I decided to add a lot more yellow to his design. I felt like it really complemented the green a lot and made it pop quite a bit more, along with some earthy browns in the other parts of the outfit. Another decision I made was to go back to the long bow. For a while, I was having him use a recurve bow. Throughout my time playing Corvo, I have learned a lot about archery, more than the average person should know who has barely picked up a bow at all in their life. I also figured not only is it more powerful, it has greater range, and because he makes his own equipment, a longbow would be significantly more simple. He's not exactly the smartest knife in the tool shed. He probably has a below average intelligence and especially book smarts, but he has his practical skills behind him. He's learned quite a few street smarts in his childhood that keep him going. And then I started rendering his main design. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of him being sketched and flat colored, but there is a stream VOD that you could watch that I'll link in the description if you want to see some real-time drawing by me. I added a few little touches like his clothing being dirty and kind of scuffed up, torn in some areas, patched in others, because he really isn't fond of changing his fundamentals. He's not into any of the updated technology of this new world. He just wants to keep things simple, and that means he will repair his original medieval clothes or find something close to it. He's pretty resistant of the new times, and he likes the way that things were in his home timeline. General life update for Corvo. He's still living in a forest, as he always has, but now he lives in a treehouse with his bachelor friends, which includes some of the Merry Men characters. And right now he is pursuing romance with a hot single mom. So I'm very happy for him. He's had a few romances in his time span of roleplay with me. None of them have worked out great, but people dig the Corvo, so he's had quite a few chances, and I'm hoping this is his best one. Alright, well, that about brings it to a wrap. If you have any questions about character design or any decisions that I made, I'd be very happy to answer them. Also, let me know in the comments what you would like to hear from me next. I could tell about my other fairy tale characters that you saw the silhouettes of earlier in the video. I could talk about world building for this fairy tale group, more about my experiences as a role player, good and bad, or I could even delve into my D&D characters and stories about the campaigns that I've been in. I really hope you enjoyed this and maybe got some inspiration out of it. Also, thank you to my Ko-fi members and subscribers over on Twitch. I live stream every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'd love to see you there. I hope you guys take care of yourselves and treat yourselves nicely. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.